Hi, everyone. How's everybody doing today? We're gonna give it a minute here just to let everybody get into their our presentation, and we will start in about 1 minute. All right, David, you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody to our CyanGate webinar, our DAM and PIM like wine and cheese webinar. Just want to go over a quick agenda with you guys. David, if you can hit the next slide, please. Go over an agenda here. We're going to do some basic high-level introductions from David and I. We'll briefly go over about us here at CyanGate. Then David's really going to dive into the digital asset management piece, the PIM, which is your product information management, the CyanGate integration solutions with DAM and PIM that we offer, our integration platforms. CyanGate are kind of our just our now and our future direction of where our company is going. And then at the end, what I'll do is we'll open up for Q&A. As you notice, everybody is muted right now. So if you do have any questions during the presentation, just go ahead and type it right into that chat box. And then we will answer all the questions at the end of the presentation once we're done. And I'll read them all off to you, David, as well. So with that introductions, my name is Guy Reynolds. I've been at CyanGate for about 5 months now. I handle all the sales on the US and Canada side. And with that, I'm really excited to be here and where our future of CyanGate is going. So David, with that, I'll hand the ball over to you.
Great, thank you, Guy. Yeah, my name is David Sultan. I am fairly new to CyanGate. I do have over 15 years of experience in DAM and PIM. Most recently, I worked for InRiver as the head of sales engineer team. I've also previously worked at OpenText, and I also worked at Alam Software that got acquired by Prima, and as well as InRiver, as I mentioned. Today's webinar is really all about PIM and DAM and some integration strategies, and also kind of take you through what CyanGate is doing to address that need of our customers. So just a quick background on how the title came about, which was probably a little cheesy, but it's kind of fun. My wife and I were in Portugal celebrating our 30th anniversary, and I got an email from the head of our marketing team asking if I have a title for the webinar. I happened to really have cheese and wine at that time, and jokingly I said, how about DAM and PIM like wine and cheese? And the next thing I know, it was sent. So there you go. Welcome, and I'm looking forward to going through the presentation with you. Awesome. All right, so why don't we start? I'm going to turn my video off for just because of connectivity. Sometimes it's a lot easier. So give me 1 second. There you go. Great. So let me kind of start really at a high level with a little bit about CyanGate. CyanGate is really design, deliver, and support digital asset management and Salesforce solutions. We really specialize in DAM system architecture, design, and also DAM implementation of enterprise customers. We've done a lot of integration over the last 15 years with a lot of experience. And in the last few years, we also got started into the PIM space as well. We've done some implementation there, and of course, connecting the entire ecosystem. CyanGate also developed innovative solutions, unique solution to our customers. And our latest and greatest product, which I'm going to cover at the end of the presentation, is going to be launched in September. And we're really looking forward to kind of share with you our vision. Overall, think about us as being a kind of a one-stop solution for digital asset management. We have over 400 customers, 200 implementations under our belt, over 1 million users across our product and services, 15 years of experience, and most importantly, 95% retention, which means our customers like us and respect our work. So a little bit about we have 3 pillars. We have services, we have solutions, and we have partners. The services is really where we started. We have a practice that we do implementation for DAM, we do implementation for PIM, and we also do implementation for Salesforce, which is really tied into our S-Drive solution. S-Drive is our document management solution that helps our customers save money in storage and a little bit more efficient working with Salesforce with some of its limitation with digital assets and document management. We also have a connector or solution through OTMM that sells on the App Store. And most recently, which we will be launched, is our OneTag, which is an iPaaS content data and exchange platform to help connect all those DAM and PIM and e-com systems together. And finally, from a partner's perspective, we have OpenText as a longtime partner for our portal. We've been partnered with Salesforce, I believe, for over 10 years, and Woodwing Assets. And most recently, we just added is InRiver as a partner of ours. So let's just kind of start diving into the actual content itself for this webinar. So the webinar is going to focus on DAM PIM individually, how they work together, and where they sort of fit in overall with the overall strategy of how companies are integrating them together. So at a high level, if you're sitting in an elevator or talking to somebody on the street and they ask you what you do and you work on PIM or DAM, in one sentence, I will say that DAM really handles your digital assets and metadata, while your PIM handles your product data and product imagery. Kind of. Well, let's start diving in a little bit. When you think of the PIM and DAM, if you kind of take a broader look from a PIM perspective, think of it as your single source of truth for all of your product data and product-related digital assets. There's a lot more to it, but that's the foundation. It enables companies to really enrich the data, market the data, sell it properly, all the channels, whether you're sending it in a print, whether you're sending it to your marketplaces, your retailer, your e-com stores. PIM handles your data, logistics information, all of that. The digital assets on the other end is really your single source of truth for your for all of your assets, irrespectively of whether it belongs to a product or not. So it could be corporate logo, marketing guidelines, and things like that. So it's holistically your content. It really enables companies to store the content, manage it, collaborate, and allow for a place to be enriched, and especially around the digital rights, of course, so those can be publicly and correctly published to the websites or wherever it is it's being published. So PIM and DAM are different, but they're also very similar. Let's take it down a level, a little bit more, and I'm going to dive into use cases in a second. This is, again, just one more level to talk a little bit about where DAM kind of fits and where PIM fits, and then we'll start looking at similarities. So a little bit more information on the DAM. Think of it as a storage for your digital assets, a place to manage them, collaborate for any kind of media content. A good DAM system should really allow for facilitation of any syndication to the appropriate channels from one place, and also give you a way to have a place to have a simplified collaboration across all of your teams. Whether you work in marketing, whether you work in sales, whether you work on the web content and IT, it's one place to go for everybody to go to collaborate. And as importantly, making sure that the content itself is safe, it's secure, it's accessible by the right people, and of course, it's inspiring to your customers. And finally, any company that can call themselves a DAM should make sure they can handle all of the content type, whether it's an image, a video, 360, 3D, and even augmented reality as it becomes more available. When we start looking at the PIM individually, so think of the PIM as a place where you will expect ways to ingest product information, store it, manage it, and probably the most important thing is the enrichment of it. So taking all the stuff that's got ingested and stored and managed, but placed for it to be enriched so it looks great on all the channels. Another big thing that a PIM does that DAM typically does not get involved with is the onboarding of SKU information. So dealing with suppliers, dealing with SKU data, and all of that. I'll get a little bit more detail on that a little bit later. So managing incoming data, SKUs, and suppliers. The other important things from a PIM perspective is the ability to ensure that the product information is accurate, it's consistent, it's relevant, safe, and in good quality. The last thing you need is consistent bad data. That's not something you want to be in. So a good DAM and a good PIM will allow you to avoid those kind of mistakes. And think of your PIM system as a library that improves collaboration across your creative team, your marketing team, your product managers, your engineering team, and of course your web and e-com team. And finally, before it goes out the door, we want to make sure a PIM system should be able to make a place that you can have channel-specific data, language-specific data, and provide a place for facilitation and syndication of that data. So channel-specific data could be a unique product description for a particular channel in a different language. So there's a lot of permutation of those kind of variations. So that's really important that a PIM provide for you. So for those who are very familiar with the BIM, with the DAM vendors, this probably is not new to you, but I thought I'll highlight some of the bigger player in the DAM space. You can see them in any kind of analysis reports. This is it's not ordered by any way, shape, or form. It's just a list. What I did highlight is the one in dark purple are the 4 that we typically see more or we get involved more. So Adobe Experience Manager, OpenText, 4 Portal, which is also a PIM, and Woodwing Assets. These are the ones that we typically get involved with projects. Although the other ones we're familiar with, we may have done a smaller implementation or so, but those 4 are the ones that CyanGate as a company is more comfortable working with. Similarly, on the PIM side, in no particular order, these are the bigger vendor out there. They come and they go, as you know. New one comes in, someone gets acquired. It's a very large space. But again, from our perspective, CyanGate is comfortable working with Solsify and River, 4 Portal are the one that we've done recently implementation with. All right, so let's just do a little bit more diving into some use cases, and I'll try to give some shed some light in specific ways. So at the very highest level, when it comes to typical DAM use cases, you may have customers that all they care about is to storing and organizing their assets. They're not sophisticated, they may be small, or they just need to get a handle of all of their imagery. So the first thing people normally do is they find a way to store and organize their data. And that doesn't require a lot of heavy lifting, but this is the foundation of everything else you do. The next use case is around sharing and distribution. Some company may want to do the sharing distribution internally. Some may need to do it externally by creating different portals for agencies, for vendors, for anybody that needs to consume the data. You may need to be publishing it out to websites. So the sharing and distribution is a very heavy use case, CDN and all of that. So extremely important to pick the right vendor that has that type of connectivity. On the agency management side, that is a very unique use case where sometimes a company or corporation may not have enough creative team to do work, so they have to outsource some of their work to an agency. What happened at that point is that agency need access to a lot of information. So a good digital asset management system should be able to facilitate this large file movement between the agency and the company, being able to create a workflow around it, approval process. So agency management is its whole kind of world and needs to be thought through. I'm going to skip this for 1 second to review approval. I'll come back to that in a second. A good DAM system should also allow for collaboration, workflow, creative process, so InDesign integration. All of those things that allow annotation, review, and approval are very, very important to make sure that the content that goes out the door went through the appropriate creative review and collaboration process. And of course, the brand guidelines and management. Some companies are very, very, they care very much about the brand, the same messages, the images needs to be correct, the logo needs to be correct, the fonts and all of that stuff. Some DAM systems do it better than others, so make sure that you kind of look at this as well. And of course, rights management. Rights management on its own can be a huge topic. You could solve it by having simple metadata fields in your system. And you can go all the way through integration where you may want to integrate it with a company like Fadel, as an example, that has a full-blown rights management, including models and people who are have rights on the image itself. And finally, the review and approval in the middle in here, that's applicable for PIM and DAM, but you want to have a good review process, good copy management process. So these are the typical, there may be more. I mean, I just kind of summarize some of the ones that we've seen the most from implementation point of view. So we thought we'll share that with you. The PIM use cases, in many ways, they're different, but in some they are the same. But at the core of a PIM, it's really around onboarding SKUs and suppliers into the PIM system. So whether it comes from an Excel spreadsheet, whether it's an integration with data pool, whether it's an integration with PLM, ERP system, the management of the onboarding can be very complex and tedious, and you want to make sure you have a PIM that does the right job for you. And then once the data is in, you want to have some kind of a product enrichment process and collaboration. Most of the data that you'll get from the inbound system or from the inputs, such as ERP, PLM, are very basic. It may be a simple title, maybe a simple information. It's not meant to go to your website. So the enrichment process is probably the most important thing as part of the PIM, to make sure that it facilitates, allows people to collaborate on it, and have it in a way that you can keep that, maintain it appropriately. A third use case, which is really big on the PIM space, is a spec management. A specification can be something as simple as height, weight, and dimension. But at the end of the day, most of those spec sheets, especially for major manufacturer, that if you're doing some very complex data, will end up on a PDF. And the PDF may have images, description, height, weight, dimension, packaging information. That spec management needs to be really thought through and really designed well. And then that PDF is going to end up somewhere along the line, either within the PIM or within the DAM, for collaboration. And that's another way to think about where the two kind of collides, meaning the DAM and the PIM. Because information, when you build a spec sheet, comes from the PIM, but it also comes from the DAM as well. And then as we start going to the channel side, you'll see in here channel management, there's two angles for the channel management. There is the data and the imagery that needs to be proper for a channel. You know, image or product information that goes into Europe or to a specific market may need to look and feel different. But also, as you publish, you want to make sure that once you publish, you're able to kind of monitor what is happening, get analytics on that data and image that's been published on the marketplace or e-commerce, or wherever you publish it to. And of course, have a good final review and approval before it goes out the door. And then from a syndication, you want a PIM system that really has a solid syndication strategy, which is getting all this data, marry the DAM, the PIM, and everything together, and then properly syndicate it out to all the channels, whether it's a marketplace, e-com, web, print, catalog. You want to have a good solution for those. So these are the two, the DAM and the PIM. And the next two slides are really trying to sort of shed some lights about how they sort of work differently or independently, and how they kind of can work together. And then the last slide, I'll kind of try to tie it all together for you guys. So if we start on the left side, at least on my screen, you have the DAM, which is where you'll do your editing for your images, your creative review, your marketing creative planning, the annotation, the review, the approval, the brand assets aspects of things, fonts, and all of those things. So all the things we talked about earlier, the DAM, are kind of happening. I don't want to use the word silo, but are typically only happening on the DAM heavily. And then on the PIM side, again, it's around managing the supplier, managing the data, onboarding them, handle large SKU data, cleanse the data, make sure it's correct, ensure that the channel specific information is correct, have a strategy around syndication, integrate with the correct product feed, and then, of course, allow for data enrichment. Now, what's sort of in the middle, which is where the line gets a little blurred, and I'll argue that some of the things on the right and on the left can also be put in the middle. It depends on the sophistication of that vendor. Both system handles metadata, and they need to handle it well. Whether the metadata is about images or the metadata is about product, you still need to have information to describe an image or a product. The digital asset side is heavily on the DAM side. It's all digital assets, where the product, a PIM system typically only cares about product imagery. They don't really care about other things. Maybe they do when they may get it from the DAM, but they typically don't worry about logos and corporate information. It's more about product imagery. Marketing workflow kind of crosses it both, because marketing users typically need to work on both systems. And of course, from a distribution like CDN website, both systems typically have a strategy, which I'm going to cover in a couple of minutes as well. So I'll take a kind of long little pause there to digest this, because what I'm going to do right now is jump to one slide that sort of take all of what we've seen together. Hopefully it doesn't look too busy, but explain where things happen and why. and then we'll go into how CyanGate as a company is addressing it. So taking all the first few slides, I try to come up with a way to sort of describe what is happening, where and when, and how in one kind of like visual. So if we start at the top, where you look at from a DAM system perspective, and this is not all the users, these are some of the users, but in a DAM system, typically you'll find photographers, agencies, creative people, brand or division manager, connection to your file storage. And this is where your media creation happens, your metadata enrichment happens, your classification of this is an image, this is a video, this is all the different classification about the imagery happens. Then you need to worry about, of course, the brand guidelines that we talked about, but the transformation, you may want to store and manage a raw file, but a DAM system typically does a transformation, whether it does it before it syndicates or out or during syndication, you still need to be able to have different rendition of the same image so you can fit the appropriate channels. On the PIM side, you'll see some overlaps, but typically you will see users on the or system like data pools, ERP, PLM, product manager, e-com manager, suppliers, engineers, channel managers, a lot of different users that touches a product. But really we're dealing with product creation, product enrichment, categorization of your product, not that this is an image or this is a video. This is really about the classification or categorization of your product online. And then very heavily, and that's probably the biggest challenge of any PIM, is the ability to do data validation and cleansing so that way it's clean and good before it actually gets out the door. And in the middle are what I see extremely, it's pretty much a given that the compliance review, legal approval, translations. When I say translation, I'm talking about literally translation for different languages and copy review. Those are typically happen and they are very, very similar. Like I said, I've worked in different vendors and they all have their own strengths and weaknesses. But at the end of the day, what you see is the DAM typically exposes or publish data to the PIM, which is really around media and metadata, where the product or the PIM either expose or publish the data or make it available to the DAM, typically around product data, channel data, logistics, packaging information. And all this stuff together, which is why I kind of put DAM and PIM like wine and cheese, they work together, they have different flavor of it. But at the end of the day, they are going to end up somewhere. And that somewhere will be your website, your e-commerce platforms, different marketplaces, could be Amazon, Home Depot, Lowe's, your mobile strategy, social sites, and even your print catalog. I mean, they're not gone, they're still here. And of course, the GS1 for packaging logistics data as well. So hopefully this sort of took you from the beginning, which is defining what DAM and PIMs are individually, the use cases, how they work together. I'm going to start transitioning a little bit more from an integration point of view. So the first thing that I want to do is cover the basics. So typically a DAM and a PIM, they will have their own integration strategy. If you have a DAM or PIM vendor who is small, doesn't have a lot of budget, or it's just new, they may handle the integration between DAM and PIM or any other system through custom code. Very simple. It may be expensive to maintain, maybe one-off development, but that's what a lot of small vendors will do. Some of the bigger vendors or companies that are been around for a while will start developing their own connectors or adapters. And those are really good because a PIM can say, well, I have a connector to PIM, I have a connector to CMS, I have a connector to an e-com platform, I have a connector that I can syndicate to Home Depot or Lowe's, whatever that may be. It's still their connectors and it's still their strategy. So as a customer, you kind of tie to their strategies. So you may have different variations of how those things work together. So you want to make sure that when you do select the DAM, you do talk to vendors, make sure you pick the one that really fits, you feel comfortable from your own strategy. Now, that is a PIM and DAM sort of like window. But now if you really broaden up the picture a little bit, there's a much bigger, larger ecosystem out there that integrates systems together, call it the integration platform strategy. That is beyond a PIM vendor or a customer. This is how there are vendors out there that's what they do. It's been going on for 5, 10, or even more years. I believe that the highest level terminology is called enterprise integration platform. you will hear things like digital experience platform, DEP, or experience setup platform, EDP, or headless solution. I can probably name 5 more of those right off the bat. These are, they're coming at a broader way for integrating these system of solutions together. Each of them have their own unique experience, expertise, kind of view of the market. And again, when we're doing research and you want to implement an integration strategy, make sure you kind of start thinking about each one of those and which one is the one you want to work with the most. DAM and PIM will most likely touch one of those. So here at CyanGate, what we've started to do, and I'm kind of jumping to the next topic, is what we have done from a CyanGate's perspective. We've really been listening to our customers for the last 15 years. We've done, as I said, hundreds of implementations. And those implementation consist of one-off integration, maintenance, they come back. We have work orders 1, 2, all the way through 20 sometimes, which is great. It's a great revenue source. It's a great way to have a professional services team. But at the end of the day, the customer have to sort of almost come back and in many cases rework and more rework. So we decided to see if we can come up with a different approach, not only to help our own customers, but maybe start selling it as a product to the broader market. And we want to participate in this particular ecosystem. Having said that, this, what I'm showing to you right now, has not been launched officially. We are working on it day and night as we speak. We are launching it in September in the Henry Stewart Show in New York on the 15th and 16th. I have a slide at the end to give you more context. What it is, OneTag is really going forward. We're going to start doing is OneTag is really a content-centric integration platform. It does not require any kind of code writing and enables integration to be a lot easier. It is when you use OneTag, it's user-driven flow, and it comes with out-of-the-box connector, and I'll explain you what they are in a second. And think of it as on the outer circles, the big circle where it says PIM, ERP, CMS, social, productivity, storage. These are the system, including DAM, of course, the system that it's going to try to put together in the ecosystem, where all those smaller circles right here in the middle, these are the one where I showed you earlier, the use cases and the people that interact with it. So we are going to try to make the connection between the end user who is using the system to their overall system to provide a seamless digital experience. And then if you kind of want to know how it works, it comes with 2 types of connector, what we call core connectors, which think of those or sort of like a business applications or back office, things like storage, Google Sheet, Excel, FTP. These are, we call them core connectors. And the prime connectors will be what your marketing things, your sales, your e-commerce. So these are your PIM, your DAM, CMS. And the connections of flows is really our secret sauce. This is how we built the interface to make it easy for you to connect those systems together. So I'm going to pause. And before I jump into the next slide, which talks about Henry Stewart, Guy, I noticed a little thing that popped out. Is everything okay with the presentation?
Yeah, everything's good. I'm just getting questions in that are sent directly to me.
Got
that
it.
I'm just putting.
No
I'm
problem.
putting in the chat for after. So
Right.
No big deal.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'd like to introduce you to Bulent, who is really our founder or president of the company of CyanGate. He's the founder of OneTag. He's going to be speaking in DAM, New York. I'd love to see you guys there. If you do, we have a booth. I forgot the booth numbers, but we'll be there. We're going to present and officially launch our OneTag product. So come and meet Bulent, come and meet myself and the rest of the sales teams from CyanGate. And before we go to the Q&A, I'm just going to end it the way we started it. We talked about wine. I'm going to end it with wine. For those who never had Malbec, it's actually an Argentinian wine, my favorite. Lots of flavor, goes well with a lot of different cheeses. If you've never tried one, you should. It is awesome. Don't drink too much because it is such strong wine. And that's pretty much my presentation. I hope the webinar was informative to you guys and to you all. And I'm looking forward to seeing you. So Guy, I'm turning it over to you. I'll keep this screen up for the Q&A, or unless you want to go into video.
I'll turn my video back on.
Okay.
So it looks like I got a couple questions on the side. I think they just sent them straight to me. One question for you, David. Why is PIM and DAM more effective when they're both integrated together?
Okay, yeah, that's actually the core of the presentation. If you think about a lot of the DAM and the PIM, everybody sort of work in a silo in their own world. When they want to provide a more efficient way for your organization to collaborate, when you have your product managers, you have your marketing, you've got your agencies, and everybody's sort of working it. They got a different spin to it. If you don't know what the other is doing, and if you don't have access to your product information, if you don't have access to your digital assets while you collaborate, it's very difficult. I'll give you a simple use case of where they can fit really well. Many cases, you may have a product concept. So all you have is, think of it as a metadata only product, which means there's no imagery and all of that. But it's hard to be creative and be able to write a description about a product if you don't have some kind of conceptual information on what it is. So exposing that diagram, that information, or that creative flow of information to your product data managers is extremely important. That's a simple use case, but it can show you where they can work together even early in the process.
Okay, cool. And then the next one I had was when will one tag be available? I think we answered that in September. I'm not sure if they meant like for actual purchase, but and how they can sign up, or how we plan to take that.
Are you talking about, so sorry, signing up for one tag or signing up
Yes.
to Henry Stewart?
For one tag. It looks like one tag.
Okay, so there's no signing up right now. We are full transparency. Right now, we're doing this product is only offered to our existing customers, and we're migrating over to our platform. We're going to open it up to the public more of right after the launch of September. We're going to start having a beta program. We're going to onboard partners, customers, but also partners who do a lot of integrations. And then eventually, we're going to have 1 or 2 more releases until we finally launch it as a GA, where anybody who wants to jump in. So if somebody's on this call who has some interest, feel free to contact me, dsultan@cyangate.com. I'll be happy to give you a presentation one-on-one and talk to you about becoming a partner with us.
Cool. And then the last one I had that came into me was which system should take the lead, PIM or DAM?
That's a loaded questions. I honestly, I don't think neither. I mean, I think if they need to work together, no matter how you look at it. I think typically on the syndication side, from my personal experience, I think like PIM really is good at syndication. So it really depends on sort of the end goal. So it's hard to answer it with a yes or no. So I would say it's either, and it really depends on the use case.
Okay, cool. And then this one just came in across the chat as well. Is one tag just an integration tool, or does it have its PIM and DAM built in? I think is what they're trying to say.
Great question, and thank you for paying attention. We're currently with the first release. We're not building a PIM or DAM. This is not going to be a PIM DAM product. We are building an infrastructure so you can connect them together. At least at the first release, we're not even storing any of that information. It's going to be more of a connectivity between them, and we're going to have a pre-built adapters. Without mentioning names, I'm just going to out loud say, if you have a vendor X on a payment, a vendor Y on a DAM, or a vendor Z from an e-commerce platform, when we say we have a connector ready, which means they are on our platform and we've enabled their API to talk to each other. And that's what we mean by that. We're not building a PIM or DAM, by no means.
Okay. Next question is, one tag, will it have an API exposed to share outside the system?
Outside the system. So when I'm not sure I fully understand it, but I'm going to try to. If it doesn't answer your question, whoever answered, you can ask the follow-up question. The way think of the one tag, when you are in our UI, you're going to make literally a flowchart that connects systems. One of those flowchart could be its own circle that has no connectivity to any of the system. This can be a pre-built API that you can go to your email. You can go to your, this is going to be through HTTP connection. So it's not a pre-built adapter. It's more of a code. You can actually write code in that connection through HTTP as well. So the short answer is, I believe it's yes. I just wasn't sure the context you meant.
Okay. Cool. I think that's all the questions that I have right now. Remember, everyone, thank you again for joining us for our webinar on PIM and DAM, and then of course the news about one tag. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to David or myself. We can definitely help you out in any questions, or if you are interested in looking into PIM and DAM, or even OneTag when it is officially launched, we will be here. And with that, David, do you have anything else to add?
No, thank you so much, everyone, and I hope this was informative.
Awesome. Have a great day, guys. We look forward to seeing you at DAM New York.
Thank you.